welcome back, truth seekers, to another episode of Conspiracy Chronicles, Unveiling the Truth. I'm your host, Görkem Yüksel. I would like to start off today by wishing all of my Canadian listeners a very happy Thanksgiving. Canadians celebrate Thanksgiving 1 month before our neighboring Americans. I would also like to thank all of our new listeners of Conspiracy Chronicles. We are now listened to in 14 countries around the world and growing. We ask that if you enjoy our episodes, please click that follow button and give us a 5-star rating. It definitely does help us in the algorithms and makes us more widely accessible to new listeners. Our previous episode of COVID-19, if you haven't already listened to it, I highly recommend you do, has raised some controversy. I've had a few people tell me that they hated that episode, and another that sat with me and argued multiple facets of their belief. Now, I'm thrilled that people hated it. It tells me that my episodes create conversations and thought. Critical thinking, debate, and ultimately coming to your own conclusions is my aim here on Conspiracy Chronicles. The person that sat down with me the other day brought up an interesting topic as we discussed the COVID-19 episode, and it became apparent how quickly some people accept misinformation out there on the internet. Whether it be a YouTube video of someone ranting or just some people misinterpreting what they read or hear, it pushes their agenda along. So, in this episode of Conspiracy Chronicles, we will delve into the world of Klaus Schwab in his book COVID-19, The Great Reset. If you're like me, you probably don't know too much about Mr. Schwab or what his worldwide agenda is. Some say it's a big conspiracy put out in plain sight. So stick around while we take a deeper dive into the conspiracies surrounding Klaus Schwab and his book.
The pandemic has radically changed the world as we know it, and the actions we take today as we work to recover will define our generation.
Now is the time to think what history would say about this crisis.
2020 has been challenging on a lot of levels, as economic, environmental, and societal frailties have been laid bare. But it's also proved that when we need to, we can act rapidly and restructure our lives.
Recovery from the pandemic is an opportunity. We can see rays of hope in the form of a vaccine, but there is no vaccine for the planet. Nature needs a bailout.
You don't want to go back to the status quo that you had before simply because it was the status quo that got us here.
With everything falling apart, we can reshape the world in ways we couldn't before, ways that better address so many of the challenges we face. And that's why so many are calling for a great reset. A great reset? That sounds more like buzzword bingo masking some nefarious plan for world domination. Hands up, this kind of slogan hasn't gone down well. But all we really want to say is that we all have an opportunity to build a better world. And it's not surprising that people who've been disenfranchised by a broken system and pushed even further by the pandemic will suspect global leaders of conspiracy. But the world's not that simple. Every one of us has differing priorities, values, and ideas. That's part of why solutions are so hard to come by, and why we all need to be involved in the decision-making. Because whether it's politicians, CEOs, academics, activists, or you, we're all about getting people together, even those you may not like, to sit down at the table and develop solutions that work for all of us. But
we need enormous trust between the private sector and the public sector for this to actually work. That trust is hard to come by.
it's time for people to work together, listen to each other, and build this trust so we can move towards a better world. And we really need one. Because while the pandemic affects us all, it's clear it affects some more than others.
The first people who are hit are the people at the front, those who are vulnerable. It is those on the front line who take it first, and that is simply unacceptable.
See, at the start of 2020, 1% of the world's population owned 44% of the wealth. And since the start of the pandemic, billionaires have increased theirs by more than 25%, whilst 150 million people fell back into extreme poverty. And with climate change set to dwarf the damage caused by the pandemic, the message from 2020 should be abundantly clear.
Capitalism, as we know it, is dead. This obsession that we have had with maximizing profits for shareholders alone has led to incredible inequality and a planetary emergency.
But no one can do this alone, and top-down approaches won't get us anywhere, because everything we've learned in our work has shown us that diverse voices lead to better results. And it's for these reasons that the forum talks about something called stakeholder capitalism, which would shift businesses away from just profit. Because
if we want to change where the focus of our recovery will go, then we need a new dashboard for the new economy. And that needs to encompass people, planet, prosperity, and institutions.
Giving people a real stake in the economy and putting well-being before growth. And that's all about getting the right people in the right place at the right time.
We must rebuild our relationship with nature for the survival of the peoples and our planet.
We have a window of time which is closing, and we need everybody who cares to get together and find solutions now.
It's the people who have great ideas and who share them with others. They're the ones who are shaping the future. So if you want to be a part of the change, then tune in, turn on, and get involved.
Klaus Schwab is a German engineer and economist who is best known as the founder and executive chairman of the World Economic Forum. Born on March 30th, 1938 in Ravensburg, Germany, he has played a prominent role in the global economic and political discussions, particularly in the context of the annual meetings of the WEF in Davos, Switzerland. Schwab founded the World Economic Forum in 1971 as a not-for-profit organization that brings together leaders from various sectors, including government, business, academia, and civil society, to discuss and address global economic and social challenges. The WEF's mission is to improve the state of the world by fostering dialogue and collaboration among stakeholders. Klaus Schwab has been a proponent of the concept of stakeholder capitalism, which emphasizes that companies should consider interests of a broader range of stakeholders, including employees, customers, and communities in which they operate, rather than solely focusing on maximizing shareholder value. He has also been a key figure in promoting discussions on topics such as global governance, the fourth industrial revolution, including technology's impact on society, and sustainable development. His ideas and initiatives had a significant influence on global economic and political debates, and he is considered a thought leader in these areas. Klaus Schwab had published a book titled COVID-19: The Great Reset. This book addresses the global challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic and discusses the potential for a transformative reset of various aspects of society, including economics, technology, and governance. The book argues that the COVID-19 pandemic has exposed and exacerbated many existing global challenges, including economic inequality, healthcare disparities, environmental issues, and the need for more resilient and equitable systems. Schwab suggests that crises like the pandemic can serve as a catalyst for reevaluating and reforming these systems. Schwab explores the concept of stakeholder capitalism, where businesses and governments prioritize not only stakeholders but also consider the interests of a broader set of stakeholders, including employees, customers, and the environment. Schwab is also known for his work on the fourth industrial revolution, which involves the integration of advanced technologies like artificial intelligence, robotics, and biotechnology into various aspects of society. In the book, he discusses how the pandemic has accelerated the adoption of these technologies and the potential benefits and challenges they bring. The book touches upon the importance of international cooperation and global governance in addressing issues such as public health, climate change, and economic stability. It advocates for stronger collaboration among nations and international organizations. Schwab emphasizes the importance of sustainable development and the need to align economic activities with environmental and social goals. He discusses the role of governments and businesses in pursuing sustainable practices. The book underscores the need for increased resilience and preparedness in the face of future global crises, whether they be health-related, environmental, or economic. Schwab suggests that lessons from the pandemic can inform strategies for mitigating future risks. Now, it's worth noting that Klaus Schwab's ideas, as presented in his book, have generated both praise and criticism, and they have sparked discussions about the role of organizations like the World Economic Forum in shaping global practices, policies, and agendas. Like many influential figures and their ideas, Klaus Schwab's book, COVID-19, The Great Reset, has been the subject of various conspiracy theories and misconceptions. These conspiracy theories often misinterpret or exaggerate the content of the book and attribute ulterior motives to Schwab and the World Economic Forum. There have been claims that the book promotes mandatory vaccination and the implantation of microchips in individuals. These claims are not accurate. While the book discusses the importance of vaccination in combating the COVID-19 pandemic, it does not advocate for mandatory vaccination or microchipping of individuals. Some conspiracy theories suggest that the book is part of a plot to intentionally collapse the global economy. In contrast, the book discusses the economic challenges posed by the pandemic. The term New World Order is often associated with conspiracy theories about a secretive global agenda. While the book talks about reshaping aspects of society in the wake of the pandemic, it does not advocate for a new world order as portrayed in conspiracy theories. Some conspiracy theories argue that Schwab's ideas in the book infringe upon individual freedoms and civil liberties. The book does discuss the need to balance public health measures with individual rights, but it does not advocate for authoritarian control or suppression of freedoms. Let's delve deeper into the conspiracy theory related to Klaus Schwab's book and the idea that it promotes a global takeover by a secretive elite. Some conspiracy theories assert that Klaus Schwab's book, COVID-19, The Great Reset, is part of a plan by a shadowy global elite to take over the world, consolidate power, and establish a one-world government. This claim is not accurate and is a misinterpretation of the book's content. While the book does advocate for global cooperation and governance to address pressing global challenges, it does not propose a global takeover or a one-world government. Schwab's ideas center around the need for international collaboration to address issues such as the COVID-19 pandemic, climate change, and the economic inequality. The book also emphasizes the importance of inclusivity, sustainability, and stakeholder capitalism, where various stakeholders play a role in shaping policies and actions. This conspiracy theory often intersects with the broader New World Order conspiracy theory, which alleges that a secretive group of powerful elites, often referred to as the Illuminati or other shadowy organizations, are working behind the scenes to control global affairs. The New World Order theory has been around for decades and has been debunked by experts and scholars as lacking credible evidence. Now let's explore in more detail the conspiracy theory related to Klaus Schwab's book and the claim that it promotes mandatory vaccination and the implantation of microchips in individuals. Some conspiracy theories suggest that Klaus Schwab's book, COVID-19, The Great Reset, advocates for mandatory COVID-19 vaccination for everyone and the implantation of microchips in individuals as a means of control and surveillance. While the book does emphasize the importance of widespread vaccination to combat the COVID-19 pandemic, it does not advocate for mandatory vaccination. The book recognizes that vaccination is a critical tool in public health, but respects the importance of individual choice and informed consent regarding medical interventions. Furthermore, the claim that the book promotes microchipping individuals for surveillance or control purposes is entirely unfounded. There is no mention of such a concept in the book, and the idea of microchipping individuals for surveillance has been widely debunked as a baseless conspiracy theory. The book's discussion of vaccination aligns with public health recommendations from reputable health organizations worldwide, which stress the importance of widespread vaccination to achieve herd immunity and control the spread of infectious diseases. However, these recommendations do not advocate for mandatory vaccination, and vaccination programs typically operate on a voluntary basis. Conspiracy theories related to microchipping individuals often suggest that tiny RFID chips are implanted to track and control people. These theories have been widely discredited and debunked as lacking credible evidence. Microchipping is used in some industries for tracking purposes, such as logistics. But the idea of widespread human microchipping for surveillance or control is not grounded in reality and is covered in our previous episode. It's essential to critically evaluate claims made in conspiracy theories and seek information from credible sources, such as health organizations and experts. Klaus Schwab's book addresses global challenges, economic issues, and the need for sustainable development in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. It does not contain any content supporting the false claims of mandatory vaccination or microchipping of individuals. Misinformation and conspiracy theories can contribute to unnecessary fear and confusion, so it's crucial to base discussions on accurate information and evidence. Let's explore the conspiracy theory related to Klaus Schwab's book and the claim that it's part of a plot to intentionally collapse the global economy. Some conspiracy theories suggest that Klaus Schwab's book, COVID-19: The Great Reset, is part of a scheme by a secretive global elite to deliberately collapse the global economy for their own gain. While the book discusses economic challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic and advocates for reforms and changes to build a more inclusive and sustainable economic system, it does not propose an intentional collapse of the global economy. Schwab's ideas focus on addressing existing economic disparities, promoting sustainability, and adapting to the realities of a post-pandemic world. Conspiracy theories involving economic collapse often thrive during times of economic uncertainty or crisis. They typically attribute complex economic events to a small, malevolent group with ulterior motives. Such narratives can be simplistic and often lack credible evidence. The COVID-19 pandemic indeed posed significant economic challenges, including business closures, job losses, and disruptions to global supply chains. The governments and organizations worldwide were working to address these challenges through economic stimulus packages, vaccination campaigns, and other measures aimed at supporting recovery and stability. Some conspiracy theories suggest that Klaus Schwab's book, COVID-19: The Great Reset, advocates for policies and measures that infringe upon individual freedoms and civil liberties, potentially leading to increased government control. While the book does discuss the need to balance public health measures with individual rights and freedoms, it does not advocate for authoritarian control or the suppression of freedoms. Throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, governments worldwide faced the challenge of balancing public health imperatives with individual liberties. Public health measures such as lockdowns and mask mandates were often implemented to curb the spread of the virus. However, democratic societies have typically implemented these measures with considerations for individual rights and due process. Many countries have taken measures to ensure that public health measures respect individual freedoms and are subject to legal scrutiny. Courts in various countries have reviewed and upheld or modified pandemic-related restrictions based on constitutional and legal principles. It's important to engage in discussions about the balance between public health and individual freedoms, while being grounded in accurate information and legal frameworks. Klaus Schwab's book addresses the importance of considering individual rights while responding to the pandemic, but does not support or promote authoritarian control or the suppression of civil liberties. Conspiracy theories related to infringements on individual freedoms and civil liberties often stem from concerns about government overreach. While it's important to scrutinize government actions to ensure they align with democratic principles, it is equally essential to base these discussions on facts and rely on established legal and constitutional frameworks to protect individual rights. The concepts of restrictions on freedom to travel and forced lockdowns have been subjects of significant debate and discussion over the COVID-19 pandemic. These measures have been implemented by governments around the world as part of efforts to control the spread of the virus and protect public health. It's important to separate these actions, which were taken in response to a global health emergency, from conspiracy theories. The claim that Klaus Schwab's book, COVID-19 The Great Reset, was published before the COVID-19 pandemic and that it outlines the pandemic and its consequences is not accurate. The book was actually published in 2020, well after the COVID-19 outbreak had begun. It's not a predictive document, but rather a response to the global challenges posed by the pandemic. Schwab and the World Economic Forum have been involved in discussions about global issues, economic reform, and sustainability for years, but the book does not predict the pandemic or its specific outcomes. The claim that the World Economic Forum and its elites are pushing for the Great Reset with the aim of controlling people by taking all of their possessions is also not accurate. This claim is a misrepresentation of the Great Reset concept and the goals and activities of the WEF. The Great Reset, as articulated by the WEF and its founder Klaus Schwab, is not about taking away people's possessions or controlling individuals. Instead, it's a framework for discussing and addressing global challenges, including economic inequality, environmental sustainability, and the impact of emerging technologies. Critics of the Great Reset may have concerns about the potential implications of certain policy proposals or the influence of international organizations like the WEF. However, it's essential to engage in informed discussions based on accurate information and to separate legitimate concerns from conspiracy theories that misrepresent the goals and activities of organizations like the WEF. Public debate and scrutiny are essential elements of democratic societies, and diverse perspectives should be considered in shaping policies and initiatives. Well, my fellow truth seekers, that wraps up our discussion on Klaus Schwab, the founder and executive chairman of the World Economic Forum, and of course his influential book, COVID-19 The Great Reset. We've delved into both the real substance of his work and the conspiracy theories surrounding it. Now, Klaus Schwab's lifelong commitment to addressing global challenges is evident through the WEF's activities, which foster international cooperation through leadership and initiatives designed to improve the state of the world. While the Great Reset framework is a central part of his vision, it's important to clarify that it's not a nefarious plot to control people or confiscate possessions. Rather, it seeks to address pressing issues such as sustainability, economic inequality, and technological transformation. It's crucial to separate legitimate concerns and critiques from baseless conspiracy theories. Public dialogue and scrutiny are essential in any democratic society, but they should be based on accurate information. The WEF's work aims to encourage collective action, public-to-private cooperation, and innovative solutions to complex challenges our world faces. Thank you for joining us today, and we encourage you to stay informed, engage in constructive discussions, and contribute to conversations surrounding global issues, governance, and sustainable development. Remember, though, that a better future is built through knowledge, cooperation, and understanding. I'm your host, Görkem Yüksel, and this has been Conspiracy Chronicles Unveiling the Truth. Until next week, stay curious, stay informed, and most of all, stay connected.